The home of British motor racing, Silverstone, hosts round 5 of the 2012 Maxxis British Drift Championship. As a penultimate round of the season, this round's a little bit different to the others. We have no semi-pro or pro-class drivers here. That means we've got a whole day of super pro action for everyone to enjoy. So, let's go drifting. Another thing Silverstone is famous for is its unpredictable weather. It started raining now, which means it's going to be slippy on the track for all of our drivers. Let's take you over to Anthony to see how they get on.
Yeah, Corin, that's right. Obviously, the heavens did open for a short amount of time. It was just enough to get that track so wet that the drivers just struggled to get some grip. But then the track did dry out, and as you can see, the drivers did manage to get a hold of it, get those dry conditions in, and put in some fantastic qualifying runs. So there's the all-important qualifying runs. We've got Frederick Asbo in first with 93-point run. Mark Looney with a 92-point run, so close, and Matt Carter in joint third with 92 points.
Got such an amazing turnout here today. It must mean a lot to you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're in year 5. It's taken a lot of blood, sweat and tears to get where we are today, but to see, you know, to put this on in front of 10,000–15,000 people, again, it's just pushing the sport forward, and it's, you know, it's what we're trying to do with the sport.
Sam, what's it like to drive at Silverstone?
It's an experience that I could never be able to start telling you about. It's the entries that we're doing here is just speeds that we haven't seen on any other track at all.
The track, it's absolutely huge. It's one of the biggest circuits we've had this season.
Yes.
I mean, does it take a while to get used to that extra space?
Yeah, we've been told to obviously try and tuck into the clipping points, and the judges want to see some big flicks in with some backward entries. So it's just all about getting that enough power down just to flick and then maintain your speed going all the way around. So hopefully I've got it nailed from this morning.
Mark, you've got the most powerful engine here at the BDC, 1,000 brake horsepower. What's it like to let it rip on Silverstone?
In the dry this morning, it was amazing. We've been waiting all year to give it proper horsepower. We've only ever run it about 700 horsepower all year. This morning was the first we really wound it up. In the dry, amazing. In the wet now, comical.
Is it harder to control when it's so wet?
It's just impossible in the rain. It's on off. It's just so hard to drive in the wet.
And the speed of the entries going into that first corner, when you're initiating it through, is it hard to keep it under control?
In the dry this morning, it was about 120 miles an hour. It was as hard as it would go, nearly in 5th gear. The difference in the rain, I would say, is 60 miles an hour slower.
You do a lot of work with Formula D up in America. How does the BDC compare?
I would say that, interestingly, BDC is probably closer to the Japanese drift style, whereas in America they've kind of gone their own way with a lot of muscle cars and V8s and things like that. So that's what I really like about the whole BDC championship, is when you see the cars, the style, it's a lot closer to the origins of drifting. I think that's quite cool.
It's absolutely packed out with thousands of people. It's a great turnout for the BDC and for tracks.
Yeah, it's a fantastic vibe here at tracks today. Massive crowd. This is why we come here.
Frederick, you're driving Formula D, and now you're here at the BDC at Silverstone. How does it feel to drive at Silverstone?
You know, it's amazing. This is my 2nd time out, but this time we brought a new car, and it's for us it's the perfect test. You know, it's wet and dry, and we don't really know what's going to get thrown at us.
And tell me a little bit about your car. You've got a GT86 by Toyota, and they've custom made it for you. I mean, what's it like to drive?
The base car is amazing. It's possibly a little bit underpowered, so we've fixed that by putting in a 2JZ motor out of our Supra, which is pushing 650 horsepower. So it's a pretty intimidating car, and it's very, you know, twitchy and fast, so I just got to learn to drive it now.
And what do you think about the driving standard here at the BDC?
And I think this style is very similar to the D1 style, and I think that comes from D1 coming here back in, you know, early 2000s and everything developing from that. And what I do see even from last year is that the level has, you know, it's skyrocketing, and all this new talent coming up, and all these guys are making it into like a pro league close to FD. So it's really impressive.
Fred, pleasure to have you. Look forward to seeing you on the track.
Thank you.
So we've met some of the drivers, and as you can tell, they're all so focused and excited to be on the track. And who wouldn't be? It's not every day you get to drive at Silverstone. So let's see how they get on.
So the first of our top 16 battles sees Shane O'Sullivan from Team Japspeed and Wayne Keeper from Sats Motorsport. Into the first corner they go. Both seem to be sticking by the qualifying line that the judges did want to see. Wayne Keeper just on the back quarter of that Nissan S15 all the way around that final corner as Shane O'Sullivan smokes up those tyres. Wayne Keeper though sticking to the lines more, sees him through into the Great 8. The next of our top 16 battles sees David Waterworth all the way over from Scotland against Darren McNamara from Team Speed Hunters, all the way over from Formula D in America in the A86 powered by a rotary engine. The S15 of David Waterworth, however, is powered by a V10 Viper engine, so not shy for this track. But as you can see, Darren McNamara is all over David Waterworth, and that gives him the progression into the Great 8. Third of our top 16 battles sees a Team Japspeed battle. We've got Stephen Bagsy Biagioni against Paul Smith. So into the first corner they go. Bagsy piloting that Subaru with a 1JZ engine round that first corner nicely. Could be a little bit faster because Paul Smith is going to put the power down, getting the grip from those Maxxis tyres. He's going to put it on the rear quarter of that Subaru all the way around that final corner. Being that close, the judges favoured him to go through to the Great 8. We've got a top 16 David and Goliath battle here. We've got Julie Robinson from Team Sukiban Sand in the 4-door R32 Skyline, roughly pushing about 300 brake against Mark Looney from Team Sats in the 1000 brake horsepower Supra. So you can see them going around that final corner. Mark Looney just trying to tame that 1000 brake horsepower. As you can hear him just feathering the throttle. Look how those tyres are smoking behind Julie Robinson. And because of that run, Mark Looney was all over Julie, giving him a progression into the Great 8. The next battle we see Team Japspeed's driver Shane Lynch against Team Lassa Tyres Simon Perry. You can see there Shane in the V8 twin turbo powered Nissan S15 against Simon Perry in the Skyline RB25 powered. You can see Simon Perry is all over Shane Lynch around that final corner. Still in the top 16, the next battle we see newcomer Walton Smith against last year's champion Matt Carter from Team Falcon. So into the first corner they go. Walton just sending it out a little bit too wide there. Judges will have marked him down for that, but Matt Carter has put that Nissan S14.5 all over the back of that Subaru around that last corner as he smokes up those tyres coming out of the last corner, giving him an advantage and puts him through into the Great 8. So into the next battle, we've got Steve Stiggy Evans in the Starlet against Kevin Corsius all the way over from Belgium. He won the pro round at the last round. So into the first corner they go, looking ever so close. And Kevin Corsius spins, giving a massive, massive advantage to Steve Evans into the Great 8. Unfortunately, Kevin Corsius couldn't hold it together and spun. So unfortunately, he is going home. And the last of our top 16 battles sees Steve Moore from Team Sats against Frederick Asbo in the GT86 from Team Speed Hunters. So into the first corner they go. We've seen Frederick Asbo get mighty close to some of these cars, and can he do this to Stephen Moore? They're going into the final corner. This is where they put the foot to the floor, and he is just hunting down that S14 of Steve Moore and being so close all the way around the track there. That gives Asbo a massive, massive advantage, putting him through into the Great 8. So we've limited 16 drivers down to 8 now, and going through into the Great 8, we see Darren McNamara, Wayne Keeper, Paul Smith, Mark Looney, Simon Perry, Matt Carter, Steve Evans and Frederick Asbo.
So we've seen some of our drivers battling it out to try and get into that all-important top 8. Join us after the break for part 2 when we get into the top 8 battles. Welcome back to part 2. We've seen some intense battles already, which means we're going to have a brilliant finish to the end. So the crowd's ready and the drivers are focused. Let's see how they get on.
So that's right into the top 8 now, sees Darren McNamara and Wayne Keeber. Wayne Keeber running wide there and going off the track. Oh my God, he just couldn't get to the grips on that first corner, giving a huge advantage to Darren McNamara in the AE86, powered by a rotary engine. So we saw Wayne Keeber there into the first corner, a little bit too committed, couldn't keep with the grip levels, and it took him off the track, giving a huge advantage to Darren McNamara. So as you can see there, and just taking it ever so slightly wide, couldn't get the grip down, sending him off the track. The judges did say more than one wheel off the track is a big no-no, so that gives a huge advantage to Darren McNamara, and it's going to go into battle number 2. So into the first corner they go. Better initiation there from Wayne Keeber, but Darren McNamara is in that A86 behind him, and he's going to get ever so close around this final corner now. You can see Darren McNamara just reeling Wayne Keeber in all the way around this last corner. So the next battle, we see Mark Looney from Team Sats in the 1000 brake horsepower Supra against Paul Smith from Team Japspeed in the 1JZ powered Nissan S15. So into the first corner they go. Mark Looney just putting it wider into that first corner, but nice smooth transition from both drivers as Paul Smith is reeling in that Supra into this second corner, and he is going for the overtake, but he backed off a little bit just to allow Mark Looney to tuck in, but ever so close. It's going to come through to the second battle now. So into the first corner they go. Mark Looney just running wide there, but sticking with Paul Smith around that first corner. Paul Smith putting the power down of those Maxxis tyres again. Oh, and then Mark Looney making an error there, coming into the second corner during his initiation. The judges will mark him down for that. Paul Smith puts the power down all over Paul Smith, but due to that error coming into the second corner, gives Paul Smith the advantage into the semi-finals. So the next battle we've got Matt Carter from Team Falcon against Simon Perry from Team Lasser. So it's Falcon versus Lasser in this battle. Matt Carter, last year's champion, running wide there as Simon Perry puts that Skyline on the back of that S14 as they transition to go into the final corner. Simon Perry getting nice and close there to Matt Carter. That is exactly what the judges wanted to see. Taking the qualifying line, but also getting very close during that last corner, because as soon as you get the angle, you can put the power to the floor and get it on that lead car. So they're going to switch around. It's going to come into battle number 2 now. They're past the drag cone. Good shot there from Simon Perry as they initiate into the first corner. Matt Carter taking the same line as Simon Perry. Simon Perry taking the line the judges wanted to see. Looking very close there as they transition into the final corner. But Simon Perry seems to have put the power down and pulling away a little bit as Matt Carter just struggles to keep the same angle and speed down. And that gives Simon Perry a huge advantage from the judges, giving him a progression into the semi-finals. And the last of the top 8 battles, we see Frederick Asbo getting absolutely smashed into the side there by Steve Evans. Steve Evans just could not get the grip down, going a little bit too committed into that first corner, smashing into the side of that GT86 of Frederick Asbo from Team Speed Hunters. I can only imagine Frederick Asbo isn't very happy about that. You can see the damage there from Steve, just trying to get around the last bit of the corner, but could not hold it. And look how fast he was going into that corner, just smashing into the side of that GT86. Frederick Asbo did so well to hold it together, but that does give him a huge advantage going into battle number 2. So here we go, battle number 2. Stiggy Steve Evans is now the lead car as Frederick Asbo swiftly follows behind, taking that shallower angle that the judges wanted to see, giving him a huge advantage of catching up to Stiggy Evans there. Into the final corner we go. We've seen Frederick Asbo get nice and close around this last corner as he pushes that Starlet all the way around the final bend using all 700 brake horsepower, that 2J, pushing him into the semi-finals. So we've limited 16 drivers down to 8, and now 8 drivers down to 4 into the semi-finals. Sees Darren McNamara, Paul Smith, Simon Perry and Frederick Asbo. So first of our semi-final battles, we've got Darren McNamara against Paul Smith. Into the first corner they go. Quite late initiation there from Darren McNamara, giving Paul Smith the chance to catch up there as they entered into the first corner. Nice smooth transition into the second corner. Paul Smith just needs to reel in that A86 as much as possible around that final bend as Darren McNamara sticks to the outside line. Paul Smith just trying to catch him up as much as possible, but it's going to go into battle number 2. Here we go into the first corner. It's Paul Smith now as the lead car. Darren McNamara is the chase car. So getting nice and close there, Darren McNamara, as Paul Smith opens up that smoke screen. We call him Paul Smokey Smith in the British Drift Championship, but Darren McNamara just running the inside line, one wheel over the line there, and that gives a huge advantage to Paul Smith to put him into the final. Last of the semi-final battles, we've got Frederick Asbo in the GT86 against Simon Perry in the Nissan Skyline. Simon Perry running a very strange angle there as Frederick Asbo sticks to the qualifying lines that the judges wanted to see, opening up that smoke screen, but Simon Perry just tucks it in nicely onto that GT86 all the way around that final bend. The boot release there just opening on that GT86 around that final bend, but look at the gap between him and Simon Perry. This is going to come into battle number 2. So here we go, Simon Perry is the lead car. Frederick Asbo into the chase car, getting extremely close to Simon Perry there as Simon Perry runs a wide line that the judges didn't want to see him run that line, and sticking to the lines we see Frederick Asbo in that GT86 all over Simon Perry around this final bend. Fantastic driving from Asbo, that puts him through into the final. So here we have the battle for 3rd and 4th, Darren McNamara against Simon Perry. Very close battles we've seen up to now. Can this get even closer? We see Darren McNamara taking a wider line there. That gives Simon Perry an advantage to hug the inside line and just catch him up there during the transition. You see Simon Perry there catching Darren McNamara up as much as possible as they go into the final bend. That is a fantastic run there from both drivers, sticking to the qualifying lines like the judges wanted to see. Very close going into battle number 2 now, past the drag cone. Simon Perry's the lead car, Darren McNamara is the chase car. Nice initiation there from Simon Perry as Darren McNamara runs a wider angle again than Simon Perry, giving Simon Perry a little bit of an advantage there with the judges, but you can see nice line there transitioning around. Simon Perry is sticking to the line as Darren McNamara puts one wheel over the line, giving him that all-important number 3 on that podium. So into the final we go. We see Frederick Asbo in the GT86 against Team Japspeed driver Paul Smith. So into the first corner they go. We did see Frederick Asbo put foot to the floor all the way from the start line there. That caught Paul Smith snoozing a little bit, but obviously the judges did say that they had to drive to that drag cone and then it was hell for leather, but Frederick Asbo did put his foot down from the start, creating that huge gap, but Paul Smith stuck to the lines. That gave a little bit of an advantage there to Paul Smith because Frederick Asbo did drag all the way from the line. So he's going to go into battle number 2. Obviously Paul Smith has the slight advantage going into this battle. So we see him initiate into the first corner. Frederick Asbo is trying to get that car as close as possible to that S15 of Paul Smith. Paul Smith just putting one wheel over the inside of the track in that first corner, so the judges will mark him down for that. You can see Paul Smith opening up that smoke screen as Frederick Asbo is locking up those front brakes as he's using the left foot, and he overtakes Paul Smith, still on angle, giving him a bit of advantage. The judges were trying to confer to see who they think should have won that battle. Couldn't see a winner, and they wanted to see him run one more time, so that means they want to see him again. They could have picked out anything out of the ordinary to put him through and give him that podium finish, number 1. So into the battle number 1 of this one more time. Look how Paul Smith is just tucking into that GT86 around the first corner. Great camera angle there as we can see Paul Smith from Team Japspeed as the chase car, trying to catch Frederick Asbo up as much as possible, but a huge gap has been created on that 700 brake horsepower GT86. So here we go, battle number 2. It's going to switch around now. It's going to come down to this final battle. Paul Smith into the first corner, smoking up those Maxxis tyres, but Frederick Asbo is not phased from that smoke as that GT86 is planted onto the back of that Nissan S15. Look how close they are around this final corner. This is fantastic driving from both drivers, but due to that run and the first run, Frederick Asbo takes that number 1 on the position. So there's the all-important scores that they've scored today. Frederick Asbo in first with 31, Paul Smith in second with 24, and Simon Perry in third with 21. Which leaves the current standings with a Team Japspeed first, second and third. We've got Paul Smith, Shane O'Sullivan and Stephen Biagioni.
Simon, finally a podium finish. How do you feel?
Wow, overwhelmed, absolutely overwhelmed. Couldn't have come to a better track. Silverstone, home of British motorsport, love it. Brilliant to be on the podium at last.
And you were very disappointed last round when you didn't qualify.
Engine went bang, unfortunately, first time it's happened, but that's motorsport for you.
Paul, round 4 you came first. You said you love it here at Silverstone at round 5. You got a podium finish again. Talk us through the day.
Yeah, it started off pretty good actually. Practice felt really good. I knew it was going to be really hard to qualify today. Everybody was really going well. You know, you got the guys over from America, awesome drivers. You know, they're the best drivers in the world. To finish on the podium, go up against Asbo in the final, unbelievable.
And Team Jackspeed doing very well this season.
Yeah. It's, you know, the second place. It's good for my own, you know, point standings. I think that's pretty much, you know, put me at the top again. Team constructors, hopefully we're still up there.
And you ready for round 6?
Bring on Knock Hill.
Fred, you came here last year, came first, came here again in a different car and come first. You're doing something right.
I think I just love this place, you know, ever since growing up, realizing what drifting even was, watching the first D1s coming here, and then, you know, I've always wanted to come here, and last year turning that into reality was huge, and then coming back, making it a back-to-back for Speed Hunters, Need for Speed crowd. Feels amazing.
And you had a bit of a crash there?
Yeah, and it's one of those unfortunate things because none of us wanted that to happen. You don't want to win in a walkover like that, but it's, you know, we had very challenging conditions. It was wet, it was dry, and it was drying up, and you didn't really know exactly where to initiate. And in hindsight, perhaps I should have initiated a little bit later.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
Good day.
Thank you, too.
What a great day we've had here. Being at Silverstone has pushed all of our drivers to the edge of their limits, and as a result, we have seen some extremely close bumper-to-bumper action, and sometimes they got a bit too close, didn't they, Anthony?
Yeah, just a little bit. We saw Stiggy going into the side of the GT86 of Frederick Asbo. Frederick Asbo did it again. He came here last year and won the event. He's done it again. We've seen Frederick Asbo drive exceptionally well, and he has won the Super Pro class again, mixing up that table just like he did last year. It was absolutely fantastic.
Well, that's that here from Silverstone for round 5. Round 6 sees us into our final round and sees us move from England into Scotland at one of the drivers' favourite racetracks, Knock Hill. So in the meantime, go hard or go home.